Right.
And remember, they tried to kill me this same weekend. Not in jokes, with a real gun in my real face on real camera. Understand I'm losing my life for participating in something that goes along with my job. The world was okay with it because it was me.
I answer to no one but God. If you are not Jehovah or Allah, I do not recognize your authority.
Get ready for some tea, folks, because Dave Chappelle just dropped a bombshell and exposed the industry for trying to unalive Katt Williams after his series of revealing interviews where he spilled the beans on the twisted things that happen behind the scenes. Now, as you all know, Dave is no stranger to this. The industry tried to eliminate him some years ago when he started speaking out and had to escape to South Africa to save his life. And it seems like even after all these years, Hollywood is still after him. Because some people are not happy that Katt has been talking too much in every interview he's had in the past few days, and they want to shut him up for good. What makes this even more alarming is that this is not the first time someone in the industry has tried to silence Katt. A few years ago, they tried to get rid of him by portraying him as a raging addict, and since then, they've been trying to finish him off for good.
Like, all my enemies all look the same in the eyes, whether it's Faison, Wanda, Aries, Spears, they all look like...
Man, what you got against Wanda Sykes?
This is a person pulling a whole gun on a comedian in the confines of their job. It's really a weird situation when they hate you that bad.
So, as you all probably know by now, the word on the street has been hot for weeks now after Katt went on Club Shay Shay and dropped some major bombs about the industry and exposing big names like Kevin Hart, Steve Harvey, Diddy, JayZ, and a bunch of other bigwigs. And just to give you a summary of the kind of stuff he exposed, he accused Kevin Hart of being an industry stooge and claimed Kevin is nothing but a tool who was put in the industry to replace him, since Kevin was fine with doing everything the industry asked of him no matter how messed up it was. He said Kevin was given his own movies and TV shows right away without ever putting in any effort to prove himself, and that the elites in the industry deliberately did this to erase the relevance of Katt Williams. So Kevin would take over and become the new Katt Williams.
In 15 years in Hollywood, no one in Hollywood has a memory of going to a sold-out Kevin Hart show, there being a line for him ever getting a standing ovation at any comedy club. He already had his deals when he got here. Have we heard of a comedian that came to LA and in his first year in LA, he had his own sitcom on network television and had his own movie called Soul Plane that he was leading? No, we've never heard of that before that person or since that person. What do you think a plant is? Maybe people don't understand the definitions of these words. He just did his documentary with Chris Rock where he shows you that his whole upbringing in comedy was on the East Coast.
Yeah, it was.
So how simultaneously was he here in Los Angeles doing the same thing? It didn't happen. It didn't happen. And I hate to seem like a petty individual for picking apart lies.
So this is not the first time that Katt and Kevin have clashed. In fact, a few years ago, Kevin blasted Katt and accused him of being a crackhead who picked over his career.
Tracing where Katt Williams comes from, you keep pointing at Hollywood. Hollywood this, the white man, this, and this. When do you take responsibility for your actions? You had the shot.
Katt was in that position at one point.
You were the guy.
Yeah.
You were set up to be the star. You didn't show up to work. You promo shoots. You your promo trips that they had set up for you. You became a risk to the studios, which is why the studios stopped with you.
Why was he a risk?
He chose drugs.
Oh, okay.
Take responsibility for what you chose and say, you know what? I gotta fix me. And I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna stand up for comedy.
Katt also went after Cedric the Entertainer and accused him of stealing one of his jokes. Katt said he and Cedric settled their beef privately, and Cedric even said sorry for taking his jokes. But when Cedric showed up on Club Shay Shay, he denied everything and acted like Katt was just lying.
You and Katt, Katt say you stole one of his jokes.
Yeah, like, it was ridiculous. You know what I mean? It was like the idea of the joke that he was even talking about don't even match up with no timeline.
The idea what this brother is talking about, that joke is over 30 years old, close to 30-something years old. I did the Kings of Comedy in 1999. Probably have been doing that joke 6, 7 years before that. I don't even know if Katt was doing comedy then.
Cedric told you when you asked him, did you steal Katt Williams' joke?
Yeah.
He said, it don't line up. Like, what doesn't line up? This is a televised joke that Mark Curry helped me punch up and get to the level that it was. Right, so he thought that I was just a no-name comedian and that he could take this joke and nobody would know.
Right.
The issue was that I had already done this particular joke on BET's Comic View twice.
Right.
1998, I'm doing this joke, it's on Comic View. Cedric comes to the Comedy Store. He watches me in the audience. He comes backstage. He tells me what a great job I did and how much he loves the joke. 2 years later, he's doing that as his last joke on the Kings of Comedy. And he's doing it verbatim. He's just changed my car into a spaceship. The truth don't need motivation. I'm just saying I can't let these dudes lie. Cedric's sitting here telling you why he ain't a movie star. He over here look like a walrus. You didn't say nothing. He can't even get his arms off his stomach sitting over here. Why I'm not a movie star. What?
Right.
We found out he can't sing, can't dance, and doesn't write jokes. He did 4 comedy specials. They're so bad, Shannon, they're not available on Netflix or Tubi.
He also later exposed Steve Harvey for being jealous of the late Bernie Mac. Katt said Steve was a huge enemy of Bernie when he was alive, but after he passed away, Steve copied Bernie's entire style and all of his jokes and pretended they were his own, so people would laugh at him.
That man was funnier than all of y'all, and y'all thought y'all had one over on him. You thought he was black and ugly, and you were good looking, and he couldn't make it, 'cause you did. And that ain't the way comedy works. The king is the funniest. Period. Every time. And that's why no audience member was ever swayed. It didn't matter where Bernie went. You think if Bernie went first, he wasn't the king? Get out of here. Get out of here. Get your ego out of this. You let the best be the best.
But what really got people's attention was when he exposed Hollywood for having a plan to weaken black men and make them all feminine. Katt revealed this while roasting Martin Lawrence for making him wear a dress in Big Mama's House 2, even after he had said no to wearing a dress. Black actors wearing dresses was a big thing back then, and every black actor on TV had to wear a dress at some point as a way of humiliating them to move up to the next level of fame. Tyler Perry did it, Ricky Smiley did it, Kevin Hart did it, Jamie Foxx did it too, and now they want Katt to do it too. But Katt is not down with that, and he told Martin and the producers of the show that he was never going to wear that dress.
Martin tried to put me in my first dress. You know, we get in that office and this fool pull out Big Mama's House 2. I almost died where this nigga want me to get in a dress with him. And I'm literally saying to everybody, why is he in a dress again? You already played the old lady as an FBI agent. We can play anything now. We can be playing a dog catcher this time. Why do we need to be in a dress? And I get so mad, I say, you don't want me. You want Brandon T. Jackson.
But what's even more insane is that this was not the first time they tried to make Katt degrade himself. They did something similar in 2002 when he did the movie Friday After Next. But this time, they wanted him to do something even worse. Katt remembered the time that Ice Cube and the producers of the movie wanted him to shoot a scene of him getting trapped by Terry Crews in the bathroom, and him being SA by him. They thought the scene would be hilarious. Katt said he was totally against that and told Ice and the producers he was never going to shoot that, because there was nothing funny about someone being SA. Katt also said this was a huge gamble for him because this was his first movie ever, and they made him feel like he was asking for too much.
The truth of the matter is, the Money Mike in the original script got raped in the bathroom, and that's what Ricky Smiley was okay with. Katt Williams had to take the risk in front of the studios and the cast and our powers that be in his very first movie and say respectfully, humbly, guys, if we're talking about anything else, I have no credibility and I have no pull. But we're talking about comedy,
right,
where I have all the credibility and all the pull. The problem with Friday After Next is we're trying to make a classic comedy. And this comedy involves and is never funny, no matter who it happens to or what the circumstances are. If you would allow me to allow us to do this movie without a black man getting in it, I promise you that it will be twice as funny as it would be with him getting. So considering that's the real story, why would you bring up that story? 35 members of the cast and crew have never brought up that Ricky Smiley was gonna play Money Mike. No one ever saw me put on a Santa Claus suit. We got a wardrobe department. They made a Santa Claus suit for me. Why that wasn't in the bloopers? I wrote it. What I'm saying if I did it and I did a good job at it, you can thank me. I was involved.
Right.
I'm not gonna come later on and tell you, I never even read the whole script. So how you know what roles? What? What do you mean you never read the these guys' whole job is to present something, unfortunately. And I'm just not a presenter. If you ask me a question, I'm just gonna tell you the truth of how it went.
This also explains why the media has been trying hard to make Katt look like a lunatic and just a junkie who talks nonsense. A lot of people were appalled when they heard about this, but they weren't shocked because Dave Chappelle also talked about this in 2006. When he showed up on the Oprah Winfrey Show, after turning down a $50 million deal with Comedy Central and fleeing to Africa for his protection. Dave said that there were some shady things that went along with the deal, and that he didn't like them, and that's why he said no to it. But while he was telling all this, Oprah kept cutting him off and made him confess to having some kind of mental disorder.
I made a $100 million deal, and 3 months later, she's all of a sudden mysteriously crazy. Or Martin Lawrence punches through and he's waving on the streets, screaming, "They're trying to kill me."
Yeah, we hear those stories.
And it always happens around the time of their career with it. Seems as though they're crossing over the next plateau.
Yeah. Would you say you lost your mind, sort of?
No, not exactly.
Okay.
I wasn't crazy, but it's incredibly stressful.
He also mentioned in the interview how some Hollywood big shots tried to make him take antipsychotic drugs.
I got ahead of schedule, and I bounced. And I didn't tell anybody where I was going. The whole time, they're trying to convince me I'm insane. They were trying to get me to take psychotic medication. Yeah. Like I'm sitting around, I was stressed out, but the people that were telling me I was insane, I believe that they knew what was going on.
To give you some background, Dave made the news in 2005 when he suddenly left season 3 of The Chappelle Show while it was still in the works, and took off to South Africa without giving any good reason for that choice. As soon as he was gone, the media started trying hard to damage his image and label him as a mentally ill person. They filled the papers with stories about him being on and having crazy episodes. Dave kept denying these stories, but the media was not backing down and the people were buying it. So he tried to clear his name many times, including this interview with the New York Times where he said, "I'm not insane. I'm not smoking. I'm definitely stressed out. There were things that got to me, but not in the way that people are saying." So they were not only trying to make Dave give up his soul and go against his own values, but the moment he stood up for himself, they came at him so hard that he had to escape to another country because he feared for his life. And a lot of people also think that this is what happened to Martin Lawrence in 1996. Even after he did everything the industry asked him to do, including wearing a dress and trying to get both Katt and Dave to wear a dress too, they still tried to ruin him when they were done with him. See, in 1996, Martin was arrested after being found at a busy crossroad in Sherman Oaks, California, holding white powder and shouting at drivers, "They're trying to kill me." One witness said Martin also shouted, "Fight, don't give up. Fight the power," as he was taken to the hospital. Even though the things that Martin was shouting out were really scary, the media didn't say anything about it and only talked about him having a crazy episode and being hospitalized. The papers also kept calling Martin troubled and suggested he was on some kind of butt. This is where things get even more curious because the doctors who treated Martin denied these stories and said very clearly that there was no drug of any kind involved in Martin's breakdown. And y'all listen to this, just 3 years after this whole mess, Martin almost died after having a medical crisis. And then not long after that, in August 1999, he went into a coma after supposedly falling down while running in hot weather. Luckily, Martin made it through this too, but when he woke up, something was very different about him. Fans saw that his behavior changed a lot after these two events, with some people saying Martin seemed shattered. These rumors were supported by Dave Chappelle when he said that Martin's mental breakdown and multiple close calls were caused by his deep connection to Hollywood.
What is happening in Hollywood that a guy that tough will be on the street waving at screaming, they are trying to kill me?
Yeah.
What's going on? Why is Dave Chappelle going to Africa? Why does Mariah Carey make a $100 million deal and take her clothes off on TRL? A weak person cannot get to sit here and talk to you. Ain't no weak people talking to you. So what is happening in Hollywood? Nobody knows. The worst thing to call somebody is crazy, is dismissive. I don't understand this person, so they're crazy. That's bullshit. These people are not crazy, they're strong people. Maybe the environment is a little sick.
And as if that's not scary enough, the word is that the industry is already planning to do the same thing to Katt. They think Katt knows too much and he has to be stopped before he spills more than he should. The crazy thing is, this is not the first time they've tried to ruin Katt, but after his interview on Club Shay Shay, they see him as a danger. Sources close to Dave also said that he warned Katt to be very cautious because they will come for him soon for exposing their secrets. Now, as always, people had their own opinions about this and they didn't hold back. One person said Katt Williams, Martin Lawrence, and Dave Chappelle at the height of their careers got called crazy and went into hiding. That should tell you something about Hollywood. Another person said, I always wonder why Martin's waving breakdown is so hard to find on the internet. There's very little information about what happened. I've surfed across the internet and can't find any real details. But now I want to hear from you. What do you think about the industry trying to unalive Katt Williams? And do you really think that Katt might have to hide for a while to save himself? You know what to do. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to click here to watch this other very juicy video.